Ah, tea time.
Welcome everybody, Souldin and the Grin Brothers here, and it's time for another episode of Tea Time. Now then, for today's tea, I don't have it with me, but I was at a cafe downtown recently, and I tried out black tea with lemon. So given I tried it out downtown, I might as well explain the tea from the get-go. It was a flavoured black tea. I mean, black tea with lemon. It's kind of, I had it without milk. I had it first without milk, then with milk. Preference was brewed lightly. It was bare when I first had it, and as I left it in the teapot and it got stronger, it wasn't as enjoyable. And it was from the Lobby Lou's Tea Room, so I don't know the exact brand, but let's see my thoughts on it. From the get-go, the tea has a very strong lemon flavour, accompanying the typical English breakfast taste, surprisingly complementing one another. The longer the tea brews for, though, the more bitter it becomes and the more the two flavours clash. It turns milky with just a dash of milk. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the tea. I mean, it's not too surprising that lemon and black tea complement one another. After all, it has been suggested before on quite a few of my teas to try it with a dash of lemon. I know other people have had their teas with a dash of honey, and of course, a lot of Brits have their teas as milk teas with a dash of milk. So anyway. With the tea already out of the way, we can purely focus on the tea time. And for today's tea time, it's a top 12 list. I mean, kind of actually a top 13 list, but I'll get into that later. And it is my top 12 favourite Wii games. The Wii is my favourite video game system, and I'm going to talk about my favourite of them. For good reason at this point, because some of these may end up being changing in the future, but more on that later. That's something for you to wait and see. And instead of actually just having a book out here with me with the list of the games to talk about, I instead just figured, I could just stack up the games in order. So I've got a stack of Wii games right in front of me. So without further ado, let's begin my top 12 favourite Wii games with, of course, number 12. My 12th favourite Wii game is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. I was quite surprised. I didn't actually initially plan on getting this game. I have a bit of a middle relationship with the Legend of Zelda series. I've enjoyed a lot of the games, but it's not something I'm super ecstatic about. It's not like the thing I go hyped for at E3 sort of thing. I just enjoy some of the entries. And I wasn't at first interested in it, but the Wii U suffered from drought. There was a lack of Wii U games early on. And whilst waiting, I ended up getting, I think, Legacy Undercover, but around the same time I saw that Skyward Sword, pre-owned for £19.99, I believe it also still had the soundtrack CD. At the moment, it's currently got Escape the Fate, The War Is Ours in here. But yeah, it had the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword soundtrack, still the manual. The only thing missing from it was the gold Wii remote. But otherwise, it was complete. And so I picked it up, and I absolutely adored this game. It is one of the best showcasing of motion controls on the Wii. Whilst, yes, you do have to reset the calibration after just about every time flying, because the flying seems to function, the motion controls different than the normal sword swings. When you get the game going, it goes so smoothly. The combat is incredible. It's one of the, I'm not really one for, having you live the game sort of thing, making you sort of experience it in terms of as if you are in the game or become Batman sort of thing. But honestly, I could feel the sword in my hands. It was that incredible. The graphical style is lovely. I love the watercolor effects to it. Zelda, this is the best Zelda. She is adorable. Fee is my favourite Legend of Zelda companion. Okay. Second, if you count the time that you could have Tingle as a co-op partner in Wind Waker. But otherwise, yeah, Fee is my favourite companion. I love the dungeon designs. I love the gameplay. There's a lot I just adore about this game. I love its more linear design because, of course, I'm a big fan of linear gameplay. Groose is hilarious, and yeah, I've adored this game. I never got around to finishing it, but I hope to one day because I had a ton of fun with it, and I hope to continue having a ton of fun with it. And I also had a lot of fun doing the bug collecting. But yeah, The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword is my 12th favourite Wii game. Next up, my 11th favourite Wii game is the very game that inspired Grin Brothers, and that is Donkey Kong Country Returns. It was me and my brother playing this game that led to us actually starting Grin Brothers. This was the inspiration, our fun time playing this. It's a absolutely wonderful co-op, absolutely wonderful platformer. I imagine I would have actually had it even higher on the list, but I feel actually Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze kind of ended up doing everything this game does, but better. So, in hindsight, it doesn't have as much of an impact, but playing for the first time, wow, it is so good. I mean, yeah, okay, I wish to murder whoever invented the Rocket Battle stages, but The core platform design, absolutely splendid. It looks beautiful, and it's a co-op game that's just an absolute joy to play. It's also got a lot of challenge to it, a nice sort of... I mean, the rocket barrel stages are where the challenge gets ridiculous, but in the core platforming, there's a lot of challenge without ever really feeling unfair. And I really enjoyed it, and Rafi really enjoyed it, and our banter and such. You know, it will always hold a special place in my heart because it was the inspiration. It was that what motivated us to start the recording. Not sure how things would have gone if I hadn't played this game. Perhaps I'd have started the channel on my own or something, but in terms of doing it as Grin Brothers and partnering with my brother and doing Let's Plays together, Donkey Kong Country Returns is what kicked it all off. Next up on my list, and one that a lot of people would be quite surprised by, because a lot of people in hindsight have been rating this game not nearly as good as when they initially covered it, and that is Red Steel. It was the Wii launch title I wanted most of all, and the reason for that is because, ironically, not because of the swordplay. Like, a lot of people are like, oh man, they didn't have enough swordplay in the game, but the thing I was most interested in was actually the first-person shooter aspect of it. Because in the arcades, there wasn't a huge arcade scene around where I was, particularly around my time period. But when I did go to the arcades, I could usually find like House of the Dead or Time Splitters, a nice, fun light gun game, rail shooter or something like that. And I absolutely adored those. I love motion control light gun sort of shooters. It's the only way I really feel that you should be playing a first-person shooter, frankly. And Red Steel gave me that, but not as a railgun, but as in one you actually controlled and moved about yourself, and that was absolutely incredible. I find it hilarious that the name of the protagonist shares the same first name as Silverwing, my brother. I love the aesthetic to it, and yeah, it was a great first game for the Wii. I felt it controlled really well. There was, I think I got stuck in this one mission because I kept being killed by a sniper I couldn't see, but yeah, I absolutely loved Red Steel. Really cool design, really cool gameplay. And a lot of people have been rating lower in recent years, but I think it still holds up. And maybe I'll, in future, be able to prove that case, or maybe I'll prove myself wrong, who knows. But I think I'll be playing this soon enough. My ninth favourite Wii game is Wario Land: The Shake Dimension. One of the prettiest games. This hand-drawn art style is incredible. I think the people who made this was Feel Good. I don't think it says so on the box. Yeah, it doesn't say the developer's name here. But the developers who made this, I believe their original IP, it was originally Konami employees. The person who is lead of the studio actually made Mystical Ninja Goemon. And they went on to make, I think it's Feel Good. Correct me if I'm wrong. And they nowadays make the Kirby's Epic Yarn, Yoshi's Woolly World and stuff like that. But Wario Land Shake Dimension is an absolute glorious entry in the Wario Land series. Honestly, I think it's the best one of them all. It is, again, I can't stop saying how gorgeous it looks. It has one of my favourite uses of the Wii Remote, which is just simply shaking as an extra feature, and it literally does it for shaking and ground pounding. That super ground pound should have been, that super sort of like shake punch, where Wario punches the floor and it just shakes everything. That should have been a movie as in Smash Bros. It's just so satisfying to do. There's lots of cool Wii gimmicks, when you're in little vehicles and such. It's Wario Land game, so it's hilarious in just the general aesthetic and tone of the character and and the hijinks to get up to in it. And it's just a really, again, it's fairly easy sort of thing because Wario Land, there's not much of a death threat sort of thing. I believe you do have hearts in this game, but I never got close to dying at any point. There's a cool sort of like dash back to the goal at the end of every level. Like, you have to get to the end of the level, get the goal, and then you have to run all the way back in like a super dash sequence. And it's a really cool thing because you know exactly what you've been through, and now you just have to do it in reverse order as quick as you can to get to the end. And that's a really cool sort of feature. Yeah, I absolutely love this game. It's a lot of fun, really cool platformer. And again, it's a very, very pretty one. So yeah, ninth favourite Wii game is Wario Land Shake Dimension. Oh yeah, and it comes with stickers. I've never used any of them, but it comes with stickers, which is really cool. Also marked the return of Captain Syrup. That was a pretty cool thing. My eighth favourite video game on the Wii is, surprisingly enough, a sports game. Mario Strikers Charged Football. Yeah, of course, a Brit would have a football game on their favourite sort of games list. Who would have thought? This is my second favourite Mario sports game of all. My favourite, of course, being Mario Power Tennis. And Mario Strikers Charged Football is a football game which doesn't know the rules of football, and that just makes it better. It's Mario to a level of extreme you've never thought. The art style is, for the covers and such, is edgy. It's got good character roster, good selection of characters to form your teams out of. The super moves and such to kick the ball were really cool. And it's even fun playing the goalkeeper, catching the balls and such. And sometimes they go insanely fast. There's a good bit of element of strategy as to whether, you got certain characters, which teams to go with, which one works better for your captain, who to pass the ball to. And then there's just a dynamic of you can either just choose to ignore the ball and just start tackling your opponent as much as possible and just slamming into the floor. Disadvantage with that is, if you commit a foul, well, they don't really stop the match at all. But no, if you commit a foul, the opposing team gets an item, which can really turn things around. So there's a good little thing to balance out of it. You got the charging the ball. The more you pass it about, it gets to a higher strength level. So when you kick it, it goes faster and further, which is super cool. It's both insanely simple, so easy to pick up and play, and yet there's a lot of nuance to it. And it's just got such a different vibe from any other Mario game. I mean, Mario's like power armor, it's like a dystopian future. I mean, Bowser here doesn't even have pupils with giant metal claws and fire breathing on the cover art. It's so violent. It's so unlike Mario, and that gives it such a wondrous charm to it. It manages to feel Mario at the same time pushing the boundaries of Mario in a fascinating way, and that's just the styling. The gameplay again is simple, easy to pick up and play, a lot of fun. Although I gotta say, the League matches, when you get to the harder things, trying to unlock all the characters like P, Piranha, and Diddy Kong and all that, gosh, the CPU can get hard. Like there's actually a surprising bit of challenge. I imagine this was actually quite a fun game to play online. They kind of promote that quite a bit, but sadly, no Wii Online anymore. But that is Mario Strikers Charge Football, though. Remember, people, football. My 7th favourite game on the Nintendo Wii, I think you can probably tell, I keep having to count this, is one of my favourite Nintendo franchises nowadays, even though I've only played 3 of the entries. Punch-Out for the Nintendo Wii, the game which kind of got me exercising to a degree, and every time I play it, I get exercising. Because I'm that weird person who, first of all, this is one of my first Punch-Out game. I've searched up history before, and I wanted Little Mac in Smash Bros. Because he just seems like such an iconic character that should have been in Smash Bros. And so when his game came out on the Nintendo Wii, a new entry, and I thought, you know what, I keep pushing for this character, I want to actually try out his game, and I love this. Once again, I am someone who is kind of rare in that I love motion controls, and I absolutely love how using the Wii Remote and Nunchuck to punch and such. I've never actually played this button-wise. I've gone to the final rounds. I don't think I've finished beating the final guy. Things would always interrupt me. I'd always end up starting over again from the beginning, just to get my exercise in. And I say exercise because not only did I play this with the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, I played this with the Wii Balance Board, and I absolutely loved it. It did slow your timing down a bit, but oh gosh, it got a good bit of adrenaline going through you. You're really pumped up and got a good deal of exercise. It's a simple game. There's not a huge amount of different modes to do. You've got a good training thing to get to know the enemy strategies, which is most welcome. Otherwise, you'd rack up a huge loss record. The game is full of charm. It's got a comedy style I can't help but love because it's stereotype after stereotype. You can't be offensive if you're offensive to everyone. You beat up Glass Joe and you got crossings flying above his head. That sort of thing. It's hilarious. I love that sense of humour. Game looks good. Lots of fun. Again, it's a very simple concept. Move arm, dodge, lots of dodging, hit at the right moment. It's kind of got a puzzle aspect to it whilst also being quite actiony. And I adored Punch-Out. This game is amazing. Again, there's not much you can do outside of it. They've got a multiplayer mode and such, so it is just the core gameplay and that's it. But for some people it might be quick to play, but again, using the Wii Balance Board, it gives me a good deal of exercise, so I wouldn't want it to be too lengthy and too many different things to do, because after a couple rounds of playing, I need a break after that, because of course I've been moving about, ducking left and right and ducking down and all that. For people playing with the buttons, might be easy for you. When you're playing with a balance board, oh gosh, you're going to take up that Nintendo suggestion to take a break every now and again. And that was Punch-Out! Let's see, my 6th favourite game on the Nintendo Wii is Tatsunoko vs. Capcom Ultimate AllStars. It's ironic, the vs. Capcom game on the Wii turned out to be the better one. It's a lot more enjoyable. The story mode is far more familiar with awesome arcade endings. Again, it's a traditional arcade ending sort of story mode, but the arcade endings, they're humorous, they have witty interactions between the characters, cool little crossover moments. Cashin is depressing. Gosh, he is so depressing. So it was actually cool that his ending was actually, surprisingly badass and optimistic for a guy who is so depressing, because they use like the modern Cashin. Let's see what characters I play. I think I played as Karis. Let's see if I can find the listing, if I can remember. And Roll was one of my main characters, and I've handled with Karis, I believe. I need they have the little displays. Yeah, they got cool. It's really cool to see the the Tatsunoko versus characters, because it's an IP not very well known outside of Japan. So it's really cool. It was a cool introduction to a lot of them and their sort of designs and such. They had a really fascinating roster, even on the Capcom side. Soki in it, Beautiful Joe, characters who don't get pushed out a lot. Alex was a very surprising Street Fighter. Okay, this is hilarious. My team was Karis and Roll. That was the first team I used. They are actually in the sort of profile section, which is actually listed throughout the entire manual. They just have the profiles randomly pop up. They're actually paired right together in the profile section. That's hilarious. Otherwise, I used Tekkaman a lot, and the other one, Tekkaman Blade, that you had to unlock. And the other character I used was... Let's see if I can find her. Oh, I couldn't find her individual. Yeah, Saki. I used Saki an awful lot. Whoops. I'm not sure what... Oh, I kind of moved over there. Oh, okay. Things started falling over as I was flicking from the manual. Yeah, it's a really fun fighting game. Really cool. It's a versus Capcom game on the Wii that works really well. It's got such a awesome presentation to it, as instead of doing, you did 10 damage, 100 damage, it's 1,000,000, it's 1,000,000,000. It is over the top and extreme. They've got all the sort of classics of time attack and survival, and again, an arcade mode worth playing. They have giant characters which really change up the sort of dynamic. They've got no second tag partner. Instead, you have, if you pick a giant character, you're on your own, but you super armor through tons of stuff. You just smash through opponent, or you have to deal with fighting a giant themselves. That's why the arcade mode is actually surprisingly hard. It's not a problem because it's a traditional arcade mode, so it's pretty hard. And the final boss, Yami from Okami, he is nuts to deal with each time. But the reason I always have to have the difficulty level 4 or lower is because the giant opponents pose such a threat. I think once I managed to get past one of them in a higher difficulty level, and I managed to get through the other sort of commands easy enough, and then Yami appears. So, lots of continues. Come on, continue. Like I said, the arcade endings are great, though. This one has 2 arcade endings, and so there's a lot more drive to actually play through the game continuously. Whereas Marvel vs. Capcom, the arcade endings were all really boring for the most part. There was only a couple that were kind of neat, but with Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, I went and dedicated myself to playing through each of the characters from the arcade run because I wanted to see all their endings, because they were so well told, and they had such little cool things to it. Yeah, if it wasn't so how insanely difficult the arcade mode got, I would have probably put it even higher on the list. But otherwise, Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, loved it to bits, and it's my 6th favourite Wii game. Yeah, I have to keep counting this. I keep forgetting. It's harder when I don't have the list of paper. I have to count the boxes. Now, the next Wii game, again, I'd probably have swapped it. I was constantly trying to decide whether I should put this above or below Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. In the end, I decided that Tatsunoko vs. Capcom insane arcade difficulty kind of ruined a bit of the fun. So instead, I managed to put this game slightly higher. And it's very strange that I put this game higher, because I'm not one for puzzle platformers or puzzle games in general. This is a Boy and His Blob. It's a very puzzle game. But you know what? You're going to have to rate a game somewhat high when it has a dedicated hug button. There's a hug button. You're a little boy. You play with a blob which can magically change into different things based off jelly beams, like an anchor, a cannon, a rocket, all that sort of stuff. All these cool little transformations of solve puzzles and such, and you just do it by throwing jelly beans. You can lure him to where you want to go by throwing a jelly beam so he transforms in the exact right spot. And you're a little boy travelling on this journey through all these sort of familiar sayings, avoiding these monsters. You die in one hit sort of thing. It's a lot of charm to it with a beautiful hand-drawn art style. I think it was actually made by Way Forward. Yeah, Way Forward made this game. And it's got a hug button. You can hug your adorable blob. And it is the absolute cutest thing, and the sound of oh gosh, this game is so heartwarming. I think it even says on the back, experience a heartwarming friendship where teamwork is key. It emphasizes teamwork in every aspect, and pretend blob into a parachute and stuff like that, and it is just so cute. It is super adorable. I'm gonna have to recommend this to be a blob. The little blobby thing's close to a slime. Yeah, A Boy and His Blob is charming, it's cute, and it's clever. it is deceptively clever. This looks like just a easy, simple game, and you have to think a lot in it. Like the first levels, yeah, a child's going to be able to get through some of them, but they're going to be really thinking by the end of it. There is so much thought. There's a few sections where you do have to have some sort of quick skill and such to weave and navigate and avoid things, but otherwise, it is mostly a thinking man's game in the most adorable aesthetic possible. Okay. And now we get to the point where I mentioned that this could have been a top 13 because I've decided to put two games in the same ranking because I kind of rank them the same. And that is Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 and Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2 at number 4. They are so close in ranking. They are so... I could never decide which of them I prefer. Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 boasts the largest roster of any Dragon Ball Z game. In fact, I think it boasts the largest roster of any game, period, for playable characters. There's tons. There's like, I think, 188. More than 160 unique characters, 30 unique battle stages, 10 different game modes, all that. And the characters are a lot more diverse than they were in previous games. The combat is simple and fun. Wii Motion, I absolutely adore. Love doing the sort of Wii Motions to the Kamehameha, and they greatly improved on that in Budokai Tenkaichi 3. And they do a really unique aspect with the story mode, where you can change events based off how you're fighting in the story mode and trigger different sequences. So, like, say, you can be fighting Majin Buu as Majin Vegeta, and suddenly it changed by doing a certain key event. You change to be fighting Babidi as Piccolo, or you can do it wherein you're fighting against Broly and you end up being him as Master Roshi as a sequence of events. And it's really cool that you can do those sort of things and alter the story mode. The reason why it isn't higher, the reason why it is tied with Budokai Tenkaichi 2 is the Budokai Tenkaichi 2 you'll be playing it a lot longer. The story mode in Budokai Tenkaichi 3 is interesting what they do, but it's much shorter. Budokai Tenkaichi 2's story is, on the other hand, is massive. There is so much content in Budokai Tenkaichi 2. There's less characters. The gameplay isn't as refined with the Wii Motion and stuff. And, there's some cool aspects to do in Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Tenkaichi 3 has perfected the core formula. But Tenkaichi 2 had the great framework of that story mode it being so content-rich. Which is why I always struggle between them. I kept Budokai Tenkaichi 3 over 2 because I didn't need to replay the story mode anymore. So in terms of just the pure versus fighting game and play and such, Tenkaichi 3 beats them out. But in terms of, it's always going to be the case where I've got them on even levels sort of thing. But I adore these games. I like a lot of fighting games, but I often like a lot of the fighting games which are easy to pick up and play because I can't really comprehend 6-button fighters, not like the Street Fighters or Mortal Kombat sort of thing. But this sort of fighter Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3, I can easily understand. Also, that's a heck of a mouthful to try and say quick. And that's why it's number 4 on my list. And now the top 3. Well, I'm probably going to be a little bit quicker on my top 3 on the simple basis that you will have already heard of them before, because each of these 3 games are in my top 10 favourite video games. Or did I do it as a top 12? In any case, you'll have heard of these before. Third favourite Wii game, Kirbys Adventure Wii. It was a return to form for Kirby, going on to the nice, finally a return to Kirby console gaming. And unlike Kirby 64, which I felt was a bit slow-paced and sluggish, as whilst I liked the story, the gameplay itself wasn't as good. Kirbys Adventure Wii, though, was absolutely phenomenal. And it felt smoother, it felt swifter, there was cool abilities. You could play as King Dedede, Meta Knight, and Bandana D. The introduction of Bandana D has been a great addition to the core Kirby roster. The Adventure of Megalore, really neat. Nice callback to Marks effectively in terms of the sort of style. Tons of alliteration. This game has alliteration. It's always good then. Shame our name for it is Kirby's Adventure Wii over here in the PAL regions rather than, Kirby's Return to Dreamland, which is a lot better. But yeah, it looks great, it plays great, it's so much fun co-op, it's a lot of fun, even single player. And I absolutely loved it. It's so good. And, you've got so many different things you can do with the abilities in terms of the fighting because they kept the Kirby's Fun Factory. It's like this was the start of like a set of Kirby games which have followed the same formula constantly. And the reason why this one has kept topping it until, of course, it got surpassed, in my opinion, by Kirby Star Allies, is on the basis of multiplayer. Whilst I do love Planet Robobot and Triple Trouble, is that the right name? Triple Deluxe? Yeah, Triple Deluxe, sorry. Whilst I really enjoy those games, they were single player only, and multiplayer is a huge factor for me in playing alongside Rafi. And yeah, Kirby's Adventure Wii, is my third favourite Wii game and in my top 10 favourite Wii games. Sorry, my top 10 favourite games. Of course, this is my top 10 favourite Wii games. It's my third favourite Wii game. Likewise, one you'll already heard me talk about before in my top 10 favourite video games. Muramasa the Demon Blade is my second favourite Wii game. I absolutely adore this game. It's by Vanillaware, and it made me, who you may know from Dragon's Crown Pro. I fell in love with this game. Like, it is the prettiest game ever. There has never been a game to look better than it. Even the later HD games, like Muramasa with its style, just its aesthetic, its charm, it's graphically an absolute wonder, and it's accomplished on the Wii. It's not even HD, and honestly, it just blows my mind. It beats everything, just the right scenic positioning and everything. The sunset here on the back cover, the water, oh gosh, the storylines are really cool. I wasn't expecting to like Kizuke as much as I did, but I think it's Kizuke? Let's see, you got Momohime as the female protagonist, who's... It's funny, you play as Momohime's body... Yeah, Kizuke, wow, I got the name right even after all this time. Kizuke is the amnesic ninja. He's got a surprising amount of wit to him. Momohime gets possessed by a demon, and you play effectively more so as the demon possessing her body. But the interaction between her and the demons are pretty fascinating. Let's see, there's other characters here to talk about. Oh, no, they don't mention any other characters in the manual. I mean, you got Yuzahiro and Kongiku. Yeah, okay, there's their names. There's one of them which they have sort of a fascinating sort of relationship with these characters and all that. The boss fight, the gameplay is a hack and slash game, easy to get into, with some depth to it. You get to craft new swords, which each have unique abilities. You get 3 of them. You've got 2 different kinds of swords, but then you can further diversify them for the abilities. Your swords can break, so you have to actually swap between them. So you never have to rely on this. So you never have to forced to rely on the same sword, because we can find a forced to have to switch at times if they're taking damage. Again, it flows so well. It's so much fun playing the game. It's again such a charming and dedication to the Japanese aesthetic they've got, and it is just an absolute joy to play. It's fun, it's frantic. There's just lots of little charming sort of things. The little cooking thing and the hot springs. The story is great. 3 different endings per character. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. It was the first game in a long while where... Because I was playing this back when I was at school. It was the first game in a long while where I would be sitting in the school day just wanting to go back and play this game. The first thing I'd do, I'd drop everything and play this game. It is one of the few... Like, I'm not like Rafi. I can't sit down and play a video game for hours on end. This is one of the few video games I could play for hours on end. I would get back home from school and I would play until dinner time and then play it after dinner until I had to go to bed. It was that terrific. I love Muramasa Demon Blade. And somehow, despite all that praise, it is topped by my number 1 game here, Super Smash Bros. Brawl. It was pretty much perfection. Like, it's still my favourite Super Smash Bros. Game. Yeah, there are certain additions I'd make to the character roster. Of course, tripping is annoying. But overall, I feel it actually does play, in my opinion, the best of them. It's got the best sort of content to it. Even like the little side ones, like the little blasting thing when you get the coins in the little shoot 'em up sort of arcadal thing. I absolutely adored that. Subspace Emissary is a fantastic story mode, which Super Smash Bros. Has sadly never topped. And what you can do in the game has never been topped by the other games. Stage Builder was absolutely phenomenal in this game. Its restrictions surprisingly made it better than Super Smash Bros. 4. Really odd that. Yeah, and Super Smash Bros. Great little character roster, great gameplay, great set of stages, great items. It was when they started to slip into things being unbalanced in that regard, but it managed to avoid it for the most part. And yeah, I was there day one with the hype building up to it. I got into fan fiction for it, and the community of fan fiction on it, which kept me going through some hard times. And so it's always got a special place there, and this is the culmination of a lot of special meaning to me. And Super Smash Bros. Brawl is my absolute favourite Wii game. And again, people have probably praised Super Smash Bros. More than enough. You probably have a familiar idea of it. And yeah, Super Smash Bros. Brawl was my favourite Wii game. Really solid fun, simple to pick up, play, fighting game. A lot of these tend to have that point. Great to look at, content rich, cool story mode, and it's why it's my favourite. And those are my top 12 favourite Wii games, unless you want to count the Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2, in which case those are my top 13 favourite Wii games. I hope you've been enjoying this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Nintendo Wii as well as your thoughts of my selection of games. What's your favourite Wii game, for instance? I'd love to hear that. And all of this has been building up to something. This top 12 Wii game list has been building up to something. Which hopefully, I'll be able to show you a brief glimpse into the future of my content on the Grin Brothers channel. And I needed to make this top 12 Wii game list now because by the end, on the road that I'm going to take with the content on this channel, who knows, some of those games may be replaced by other Wii games on the list. Because after years of collecting Wii games, I'm finally starting the secret project, the ambitious project. I say ambitious, it's kind of a lot of other people have probably done it. So the special thing that I've always wanted to do with my recording, with the Grin Brothers channel. And I hope you'll enjoy what's to come. On screen, popping up, maybe a few little clips from my upcoming videos I'm going to play. If I can actually make it work, if this is a lovely video as it is. And a rough date of when I shall be beginning Wii Wonders.